Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're heading into the office, but maybe not quite how you'd expect. We're not just talking about desks and emails. We're talking about going there for a product launch, maybe catching a high-end dinner concert,
Yeah.
or even, and this might surprise you, hosting a wedding reception.
Yeah, it sounds like a bit of a strange mix, doesn't it? But what we're tracking here is this really profound shift, something often overlooked in how commercial real estate is being used. The modern office, well, it's not just a static place with desks anymore. It's becoming much more dynamic, flexible, and importantly, a monetizable event venue.
Right.
And this deep dive is really about understanding that convergence, the commercial need meeting this sort of fundamental desire for community. That's what's driving it.
Okay, so our mission today is to unpack the sources we've looked at that detail this evolution. We really want to get into the history.
Yeah.
Was this genuinely sparked by the 2008 financial crisis, or is it more about, say, post-pandemic remote work adjustments?
Good question.
And the motivations, too. Is it primarily about the bottom line, optimizing finances? Or is it truly about building a stronger social community within the office? We'll also look at some real-world examples, companies actually making this work successfully.
And that versatility you mentioned, that's really the key thing to grasp here. We're seeing spaces that can just pivot incredibly smoothly. Hosting professional lectures, maybe high-stakes product launches on a Tuesday.
Hey.
And then come Saturday, that same space is transformed. Maybe it's an intimate concert. Maybe it's a private family party, like a confirmation or something. The range of uses is just huge now. And it really shows how deeply this idea has taken root in the market.
Okay, so let's unpack where this trend actually started. I think a lot of people might assume, like I said, it's purely post-pandemic, a clever way to get people back into city centers maybe.
Is the common assumption, yeah.
But the sources seem to point further back to an earlier catalyst, something rooted more in financial pressure.
That's right. And what's really fascinating is that the initial spark, it seems, happened almost a decade before the big remote work shift we've seen recently. The trend really began right in the wake of the 2008 financial crisis.
Ah.
Suddenly, you had companies all over the world looking at these massive fixed assets, their office buildings, which were suddenly underused and just draining cash. They were really scrambling, trying to figure out ways to supplement some pretty severe income losses.
So the light bulb moment was we have this huge expensive piece of real estate sitting empty half the time, and we desperately need cash flow. What kinds of things were they renting it out for back then? Was it still business related?
Not always. It was really financial necessity driving creativity, it seems. That's what the sources suggest. They started renting out the suitable spaces, the ones with easy access, big open areas, maybe nice views for totally non-traditional, non-work stuff. We see some early examples mentioned, like high-end office lobbies being used for wedding parties.
Really? Wedding parties?
Yeah. Or maybe larger conference rooms turned into pop-up cinemas for a weekend. It was definitely an emergency measure at first, but it kind of proved the concept, showed it was operationally possible.
So that initial phase, born out of necessity, has sort of served as a proof of concept, set a precedent. But then, you're saying that spark really caught fire when the whole global co-working wave took off in the last decade or so.
Exactly.
The sources seem clear that the event side of things suddenly became much more strategic, bigger, more visible. Not just in dedicated co-working spots, but also in more traditional large companies that started embracing flexible designs.
Precisely. The trend just accelerated because the whole co-working model is fundamentally built on flexibility and community. And, well, events are probably the most direct way you can deliver both of those things, right?
Intensive.
So today, for any serious international co-working space trying to compete, having a monthly or often even weekly event is pretty much mandatory. It's baked right into their marketing plan, their annual calendar. It's not some optional extra anymore. It's a standard operational thing people expect.
Mandatory feature.
Oh.
Wow, that really signals a complete cultural shift, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But, okay, hosting such different functions, you mentioned professional lectures, but then also a full-on concert. The space itself needs to be incredibly adaptable. Let's try and define the scope a bit more. What are offices hosting today? Is it still mostly just conferences and meetings?
Oh, far from it. Like you said earlier, the list is really broad now. You still have the professional content, naturally. Lectures, seminars, high-profile product launches, that's the traditional base. But then it quickly moves into entertainment and arts. We're seeing stand-up comedy
In
nights.
an office.
Yep, intimate concerts with pretty well-known ticketed artists, gallery openings and exhibitions.
And then there's that really private life side you touched on, the weddings, the family parties. So companies are actually renting out their canteens or maybe rooftop spaces.
Exactly. Rooftop gardens, shared lounges, maybe for a tenant's big anniversary party, or like you said, a large family confirmation on a Saturday when the building would otherwise be dead quiet.
That's amazing utilization, really.
Right.
But it does raise a practical point about transforming the space. The sources mention that most modern offices can be transformed with the, quote, right imagination and will. But that sounds maybe a bit too simple. If I want to turn my company's meeting area into a concert venue for a night, what are the real hurdles? Logistically, technically.
Yeah, that's a really important point. It's definitely not just about moving some desks around.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. The sources do touch on this. Professionalizing this shift means a serious commitment. Logistics, compliance, it's not trivial. You've got to navigate local zoning laws, which often weren't written with offices hosting big public events in mind.
I can imagine. Then there are potentially huge security concerns, especially if you're bringing in the public for ticketed entertainment. And maybe the biggest one, making sure you have the right kind of commercial insurance liability coverage. That pivot takes real investment, way beyond just imagination.
Okay, which brings us neatly to the core motivation question. Why go through all that effort? Is the main driver really this clever revenue stream, a way to make that expensive office real estate pay for itself by using it more? Or is the community angle genuinely the primary goal?
It's complex. The two goals definitely intersect. But the sources are surprisingly clear about the priority, for many at least. First, acknowledging the money side. Yes, hosting events can bring in nice financial side benefits, as one source puts it, especially for those flexible co-working spaces that need diverse income.
Okay.
However, that income often seems to be secondary to the cultural objective.
I have to admit, I'm a little skeptical there. When a place is hosting, say, a ticketed dinner concert for 250 people or a full weekend wedding, surely the revenue from that must be pretty significant, enough to at least cover the extra operational costs, the insurance, maybe hiring an event manager you mentioned. Are we really sure the community benefit isn't just a very convenient secondary benefit used to justify the upfront investment?
That's a fair challenge. And it's exactly why getting insights from people actually doing this is so crucial. We have some specific input from Zoltan Pali. He's the founder of SPF.Architects down in Los Angeles. His firm regularly uses their own design studio, their gallery space, even their outdoor area for various events.
Okay, and what does he say about the money versus community aspect?
He's incredibly clear on this. He states pretty explicitly, we do not set up events to make money. All full stop. He says we do it to develop communities, support art, and give a platform to a perhaps unnoticed artist.
Interesting.
He confirms the revenue gets factored into their overall accounting, sure, but it is fundamentally not the main driver for them. For a firm like his, it seems the primary goals are things like external visibility, building internal culture, and contributing to the local art scene, using space that would otherwise just sit empty after hours.
Okay, that adds really important context. So the benefit for you, listening, is seeing this potential dual gain. On one hand, the company is making a smart financial move by optimizing its physical space. Makes sense. But at the same time, they're actively trying to boost team spirit, social connections among employees or tenants through these shared experiences. That blend of efficiency and, well, culture, that's a pretty powerful combination.
It really is. And we have a fantastic case study that shows just how this internal demand can quickly snowball into a major part of the business itself.
All right, let's look at the Schiller Office Hotel in Copenhagen. You mentioned this as a key example, an organization that realized the demand was so high they had to actually expand their event facilities. For listeners, maybe just clarify quickly, what exactly is an office hotel? Is it like co-working?
It's similar, but often positioned as more high-end, maybe. Think of it as a premium, serviced, flexible office environment. Companies rent private offices, but they share very sophisticated amenities, common areas, and increasingly, these event venues. It's a step up from basic co-working for some.
Got it. So in Schiller's case, their CEO, Casper Andresen, he explained that this whole move into being a big event venue wasn't really planned from the start. It was more reactive.
That's right. It started small. They just noticed their tenants, they have about 70 companies there, kept wanting to use the shared facilities, particularly the cantina, apparently. They wanted it for their own company parties, professional gatherings, things like that.
And Schiller saw a business opportunity in that pattern.
A serious one, yes. That constant demand led them to actually expand their bar and lounge area, not just once, but in stages. It was a significant investment.
Which eventually resulted in creating this massive, dedicated party and event hall. You mentioned it has a stage and space for up to 250 dining guests. That's huge.
It's a major facility. That kind of capacity takes them beyond just being an office provider. They're effectively running a hospitality business component now.
And the outcome? Did the tenants use it?
Casper Andreessen says they immediately started queuing up his words to rent the new hall. And for everything, internal company bashes, yes, but also those big private life events, weddings, confirmations. Clearly the demand for a large, high-quality, easily accessible space right within their own building complex was just enormous.
And Schiller didn't just passively rent the space out, did they? They started staging their own events to actively build that community feel. Our sources mentioned the success of their dinner concert specifically as really helping build team spirit among all the different companies there.
Yeah, the scale of their own event operation is pretty impressive now. They sold out a dinner concert last October featuring a well-known Danish act, the Sylvester Larsen Band. And it's not slowing down. Schiller's event calendar is apparently packed solid with all kinds of events well into next autumn. They're even negotiating now with some major female Danish music artists for their spring program. This isn't just a side project for them, it's like running a proper high-capacity venue inside an office hotel.
That success story really highlights the final stage in this whole transition, doesn't it? The need to professionalize the event space. It feels like we've moved way past the days when the corporate calendar was just, the obligatory Christmas dinner and maybe a summer BBQ. Now, as the sources say, corporate programs are brimming with frequent social events.
And that frequency and complexity demand a professional approach. You simply can't manage a constant queue of tenants wanting to book a 250-person venue or stage-ticketed concerts off the corner of someone's existing job description.
Right.
Which brings us back to Zoltan Pali's practical advice. Whether your main goal is community building or actually making money from it, you have to approach it professionally. You need the right infrastructure.
Which often means bringing in people with specific event management skills.
Right.
And integrating them properly.
Absolutely. Pali really emphasizes the need to seriously consider hiring a dedicated event manager. Think about it. The planning, coordinating all the logistics, managing the bookings, handling the marketing, ensuring compliance, that takes significant time and specialized expertise.
Yeah, the full job.
It's a full-time, skilled role. And that person needs to work smoothly across different departments, too. Facilities for setup, IT for tech and sound, HR for making sure it aligns with company culture and promoting it internally.
And if we zoom out again, this push for professionalism inside companies fits perfectly with what's happening in the wider economy, doesn't it? The global event industry itself has seen really solid growth recently, driven by, people wanting to get back to physical, shared experiences after years of virtual stuff, plus ongoing innovation in hybrid formats too.
Exactly. People crave experiences.
So there's this huge external support system available now. We're seeing more specialized agencies popping up whose entire business is creating tailor-made corporate events, handling all those tricky logistics. This office trend isn't happening in isolation. It's plugging into that larger, thriving experience economy. It's just using underutilized office space as the stage.
Well put.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for the future of the office? Our deep dive suggests the office has fundamentally shifted. It went from being seen mainly as a fixed cost, a liability almost, it was the post-2008 view, to becoming this highly flexible, community-focused, and potentially revenue-generating asset. The old lines between workplace and social venue aren't just blurry anymore. They seem to have merged into one multifunctional concept.
And that leaves us with a really interesting question for you, the listener, to think about. Given this sustained growth in the global events industry and seeing how complex these in-house corporate events are becoming, managing insurance for a wedding is very different from ordering pizza for a meeting, right?
Definitely.
Or staging high-quality dinner concerts for hundreds of people. How quickly do you think professional event management will become just a standard, indispensable part of large companies or these big office communities? Will the event manager title soon be as common and essential in the office directory as someone from IT or HR? Where does this trend ultimately take the structure of the modern company?
Something to definitely mull over, maybe as you RSVP to your company's next rooftop stand-up comedy night. Thanks for diving deep with us today. We'll see you next time.